Welcome everyone to the Beginner's Guide to IoT and Hardware Hacking. First off, thank you so much for choosing to take this course. I've got some really exciting material and I cannot wait to get started on it. Before we do, in this video we're going to cover some of the standard course intro topics, such as a brief introduction about myself, a little bit on the course curriculum, and then some of the course prerequisites. So without further ado, let's get started with the intro. So to start, just a little bit about me. My name's Andrew Bellini, and my background is in electrical engineering. I have a bachelor's of engineering science, focusing on electrical engineering and then more specifically specializing in wireless technology. I'm also a licensed professional engineer in Ontario, Canada. Throughout my career, I've worked as an electrical engineer, working across many different industries, including SCADA, control systems, and also embedded systems and electronics for the rail industry. I'm also a TCM student, and I actually took the PEH course many years ago when it was only available through Udemy, and I actually now work as a cybersecurity technical trainer for a cybersecurity company where I train the employees. I generally go by Digital Andrew on my social media, and that's how you'll see me in Discord. And the best way to get in touch with me if you want to reach out is through my LinkedIn, which I've linked here. You can also reach me on Twitter, and then I also have a website. Just a few quick non-technical details about me in case you're interested. I am a dad. I love to play guitar. I play in a band, so if you're any good at OSINT, you can probably track me down there. And I also love the outdoors and fishing. Okay, so moving on, let's take a look at the curriculum for the course. So we're going to begin with Electrical Engineering for Hackers 101, and this is going to be a mostly theoretical section of the course where we will learn about some of the most important fundamentals of electricity, electrical engineering, and electronics. In the second section of the course, we're going to take a hands-on look at PCBs, some of their characteristics and components, and then learn how to use multimeters. We'll then move on to the third section of the course, which is a continuation of electrical engineering for hackers, where we will continue to learn about some of those fundamental theories of electricity, electrical engineering, and electronics. After that, we'll move on to a hands-on section where we learn about logic analyzers and how we can use those to measure and sniff out UART communication, and in doing so, learn about UART. We'll then move on to some hardware recon and OSINT, where we'll take a look at the various recon we can perform on our hardware and then the additional information that we can find open source on the internet. After that, we will hook up to the router with the UART shell that we found, and we will actually do some live enumeration of our router. In the next section of the course, we're going to learn about SPI, or Serial Peripheral Interface Protocol, and then we will actually use that protocol to extract the firmware off of the router, and then we'll perform some analysis on that firmware. In section 8, we will then actually do some reverse engineering of that firmware and take a look at how we can start to look for vulnerabilities in it. We'll then do a quick course challenge and course wrap up. Before we move on to the prerequisites of the course, I do just really want to quickly chat about why I've included some theory sections about electrical engineering and electronics in this course. So one of the questions that I very frequently see asked about ethical hacking is, do I need to understand programming or learn how to program? And, the answer to that, or the one that I kind of think is the best answer, is that, you definitely don't need to fully understand programming or be a programmer to get into ethical hacking. However, the more you understand about programming, some of the fundamentals of it, and actually, being able to look at code and understand how that code functions, this is of course going to make you a much better ethical hacker and help a lot. So of course, if you're doing web penetration testing, then you don't need to know how to go and build out a website, from the ground up and understand fully how to do that. However, you should be able to look at the code and have a good understanding of what it's doing. And this is the same for hardware hacking, or at least that's my belief. You don't need to be, a full-fledged electrical engineer, fully understand electronics, or be able to design a circuit from the ground up. However, it's going to benefit you a lot if when you take a look at circuits, you get an idea of, what is going on with that circuit, and you're able to identify the different components. And that's why I have included the two theoretical sections on electrical engineering for hackers. So If you are finding that these are too much, like school, you just want to get to the hacking, then of course this course is yours to make what you want with it. And, I would encourage you to then just move on to some of the hacking sections. But I do think that they will be really beneficial to you if you do want to, in the future, continue on with hardware hacking. With that being said, let's move on to the course prerequisites. So there aren't actually a lot of prerequisites for this actual course. I have listed it as a beginner's course, and I do just want to quickly chat about that. What I mean by beginners is that this is a beginner's course to hardware and IoT hacking. Hardware and IoT hacking in itself is somewhat of a complex topic in that it covers a broad range of different underlying topics. So, I would consider this to probably be like an intermediate level course if you're just looking at it, from an outward lens. And then it's more of a beginner's hardware and IoT hacking course. So with that being said, I think it's going to be really beneficial for you if you have a general understanding of Linux, because a lot of the IoT devices that we're going to be looking at, and specifically the router that we're going to be working on this course, are going to be running embedded Linux. And then, of course, we're going to be using Kali Linux as well as our attack machine. And then also, you should have a basic understanding of penetration testing and some of those principles. So if you're not feeling brushed up on these topics enough, then I would suggest there's a very good Linux course in the TCM Academy that would go over everything that you would need to know. And then, of course, the Practical Ethical Hacking course by TCM Academy is also an excellent precursor to this if you're not feeling brushed up on penetration testing. So then just the things that you do not need to know, though, is if you don't have any background in electrical engineering or knowledge of electricity or electronics, that's okay. We'll cover all of that. You do not need to know how to use any of the tools that we're going to be using, so either software or physical, so things like the multimeter or the logic analyzer. We'll go over all that. And then you do not need any specific knowledge on IoT devices. We will cover all of that. So that wraps up this video. I do have a couple of quick videos after this that go over some really important notices or topics. So I would really encourage you, please watch those before moving on to the course. But that wraps up this video. I'll see you over in the next one.